Welcome to the fight game with Icewater and Puma, and we got to talk about last night's fights, both in boxing and MMA. Abdullah Mason, man, I'm so impressed with this young man, and he just came and just took care of business and got the rounds in he needed. But again, I keep saying this, he reminds me so much of Sugar Ray Leonard,
Mm.
the way he goes about his fights and how he's able to stand in the pocket and not afraid. And we'll talk about Keyshawn Davis in a bit because that fight was canceled last night because he couldn't make weight. But I just want to give a shout out to Abdullah Mason, young man. He's up and coming, and I could I could say with confidence that I think a lot of boxers are weary of him and don't really want to get in the ring with him because of the way he handles his business, how humble he is, how much of a crafty fighter he is at a young age. It just seems like, the sky's the limit for this guy.
No doubt. One of my favorite young fighters coming up, 21 years old, definitely residing in a native of the OH team, Cleveland, Ohio. And I love the fact that he said he wants to bring a title fight to Cleveland. I might try to make my way up for that. I haven't been to Cleveland in years, but that would be worthwhile. And the way, as you mentioned, that he stepped up in the main event because of an issue with a fight being canceled. He stepped up and took over, enjoyed the spotlight, and now with that win, he definitely has made himself a potential lightweight champion contender with the WBO title at lightweight being vacant now. So he said the next fight he may take may be for that title. So it'd be exciting for him for that to happen at age 21.
Because there was some talk about him and Davis being on his card, that it was setting up a match with those two. But let's go on with Davis. He screwed that up, coming in 4 pounds overweight. The fight was canceled. And then after the fight, jumping on an opponent and him and his brothers, and we're finding out all these kind of negative things about Keyshawn Davis to the point where one of the commentators was saying, you know what, I lost my respect for this dude because there have been fighters before who have done whatever they needed to do to make weight, to make sure that they can secure their bag, they could not disappoint the fans. You have fans there in Virginia saying we want our money back because this is not what we paid for, and that, boxing is already taking the big hits because of MMA. You don't need that in boxing at this particular time. And for him not to, he's a professional athlete, and professional athletes, it's a privilege to be a professional athlete. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And if he's not taking it seriously, I have to say I'm disappointed too, because you're not the regular Joe Schmo just walking the streets. And people who want to be boxers or people who want to be in your shoes, you are the guy. And so you have to put in the work and put in the time to do what you need to do to make things happen. And for him not to do that, and it seems like it wasn't a thing to him. And for your family afterwards to jump on the guy in your hometown and cause a melee like that, it's like it just leaves a black eye on boxing. And I hope that, I don't wish bad on anybody, but something has to happen, some kind of punishment has to happen to wake him up to realize that it ain't promised to you, man. It's not.
I think from the standpoint of him seeing it for what it was, him coming in with the 4.5 over being overweight, 4.5 pounds, it's almost as if he really didn't care to a point. He also mentioned, Keyshawn Davis mentioned that he knew that it was hard to make that weight and he tried to negotiate it. He said he already knew this would be his last fight at that weight, so he wanted to move up. But it's just to the point where you're at home, Norfolk, Virginia. That's your spot. The people love you. They come to see you. You made all this big promotion and whatnot about being the businessman. And you didn't seem like a businessman at all from the standpoint of being so frustrated and upset. I think he just wanted to fight. And when things didn't go right, he became more angry. You should have just went to the club, bro. Sorry to fight at the club. But instead, he took it upon himself, he and his brother, because they were mad at the fact that their brother lost. Kelvin Davis lost his first fight to Nahir Albright. So you go back in the back and you talk stuff, get in the guy's face and butt his head and have a free for all, if you will, that was caught on camera. And the sad thing about it, we can go deeper. You mentioned something else. Let's go deeper to this, Keyshawn. You say you're the businessman. I think you really affected your opportunity to fight on a higher level now. Because now you need to prove to the promoters that one, you're going to show up, you're going to be in shape, and you're going to be ready to produce. But you mentioned before about off camera about substance and all that other stuff. But the one thing I don't think anybody's really pointing out, and now it makes more sense. Keyshawn was so frustrated because Keyshawn was one of the guys that allegedly assaulted this guy. Another reason why he may have been frustrated is back in 2023, Keyshawn Davis fought Nahir Albright, the same guy his brother fought. And he won in the majority decision, which was later changed to a no contest.
Right, right.
Because they tested him, Davis, for weed.
Right, right.
And it came up positive. So he was familiar with this guy. And I'm sure he just saw him and whatever it was, one thing led to another, and you beat him up, or you assaulted him allegedly because he beat your brother. But you already had a history with him. So it wouldn't take long or anything much to get you fired up. And you had your baby back there with your girl and all this. It was a bad look for Keyshawn Davis. A very bad look. So I'm not sure if he's going to come back and apologize to the people, particularly the people in Norfolk. Because they paid cash money to watch you. And they said 2,000 people said they wanted a refund.
Yeah.
Because you were not there, you didn't show up. And we all make mistakes, things happen. But you're going to have to work your behind off to try to get the people's respect and love back. Some people at home going to love you just because. But other people look at you differently now from that standpoint. I think there should be a penalty for people that come off crazy. I know they will hurt you in your pocket, but then you got to fight somebody that's real next, right? So you coming up to Keyshawn, you coming up to 140. And I like you. I like you a lot. I really like the way that you step up. You kind of challenge Tank Davis a little bit, type of guy ready to go. So let's give you a real fight. You chasing after all these other people and saying whatever, who you will fight. I'm not going to go crazy to fight your brother, Shakur, nobody like that. But I do have a fight for you. 140. Let's see how good you are. The number 5 fighter at 140 is a gentleman by the name of Gary Antoine Russell. I think that'd be a hell of a fight. It gives Keyshawn Davis an opportunity to show that he's the real deal, is a true businessman, and it's going to be fireworks. And with the factor that Gary Antoine Russell is from the DMV, let's get one. As they say, let's get one. Let's put one together. You know what I mean? People would love to see that fight. Beautiful fight. Let's get one. Both an opportunity for Keyshawn Davis to redeem himself and show us that he's that type of quality fighter on that level. And Gary Antoine Russell be chomping at the bit to show this young boy what it is. Yeah. I think it's a match made in heaven. Let's get it. I'll be the promoter, or I'll take pictures, I'll take tickets. Whatever you need me to do. I think it'll be an amazing fight, great opportunity.
What's the next fight we're going to talk about, man?
We got to keep this 100. There's something that happened over on Sunday morning, Saturday night, wherever it is. A man by the name of Junto Nakatani. Junto Nakatani was able to win the bantamweight title from another undefeated champion, Nishida. And ironically, with that being said, there was a gentleman that was sitting ringside, Mr. Inoue, a.k.a. The Monster. The Monster is 30-0, 27 knockouts. Nakatani is 31-0, 24 knockouts. It's the fight that everybody, if you don't know who Nakatani is, Google him. They finally woke up on ESPN. Yeah, I called him out.
Can I spell it out for the people? Can I spell the last name out for the people?
So yeah, Nakatani. Nakatani. Don't talk about dyslexia. Leave me the hell alone. Anyway, Nakatani. Yuto Nakatani is number 9 pound for pound on ESPN's rating, finally. The word is hopefully in 2026, these two get together, the monster that is, will get together and fight for one of the perhaps the greatest boxing match in Japanese history in Japan. It needs to happen. I've been trying to tell y'all who've been watching. You may not hear this nowhere else because everybody else so love with other people. This dude's the real deal, man. This is gonna be an amazing fight. It's like the first time I saw Pacquiao fight years ago. Telling my age. Anyway, you already know what that is. But it's gonna be an amazing fight and needs to happen. And with him dismantling Nishida in the 7th round, shows you that he's ready.
I'm looking forward to that too. A lot of people are talking about, different fighters from different weight classes. These little guys bang, and they don't mind just tearing each other apart. And I'm here for it. Let's talk about Teofimo Lopez. Supposed to be fighting Devin Haney, but did not sign the contract. Wasn't interested in fighting. And I'm really disappointed in Lopez because he's been talking about people ducking him. He's not getting the fights. Promoters aren't really paying attention to him. And you get a bona fide good fight with a bona fide, former champion, but you didn't step up. And this is kind of like Lopez's mode of operation. Like one day he's all fired, next day he's all smoke. And so, do you have any explanation on why he didn't really kind of pull the trigger on this fight?
Depends on who you listen to. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there as to why. Because we also know that Teofimo Lopez is the same guy that called out Boots Ennis at 147. Said he would move up. But when you want to fight Devin Haney, the negotiation apparently was 147 is too big. Fight me at the catch weight at 145. Devin Haney said, sure, no problem. And then there's the issue where they say, allegedly, that Teofimo Lopez has an issue with Turkey Al Sheikh, the promoter from Saudi Arabia. And he says he believed that Turkey Al Sheikh is so connected with Devin Haney that if the fight took place in Saudi Arabia where it's supposed to be, Teofimo Lopez does not believe he can win the decision in Saudi. So with that being said, I la Pacquiao and Marquez back in the day. If I don't knock him out, they're not gonna let me win. So that's a lot to say. And I think somebody from Teofimo Lopez camp finally pulled him to the side and said, hey, you just need to be quiet. People say, why would you say that? I say that because of the fact that you don't want to destroy any other future opportunities you may have with Turkey.
And I think he just might have.
Yeah, you might. But the other part, somebody came back afterwards from Teofimo's camp and says, Teofimo is not fighting in August because he has some personal issues he's dealing with. And that's why he's not fighting. He needs to take a rest. He needs to work on some things. And maybe we hope to come back later and fight. That's from a PR standpoint. In the camp, that's how you silence all the BS. He was tired. He was on Percocet, allegedly. He was on whatever hell he's dealing with. I'm just saying. That's the easy way in PR that you quiet everybody. So Turkey like, well, maybe you're dealing with some issues. You ain't got a baby mama. You want to silence all that? You say, I'm not in a good place. I got personal issues, personal reasons.
On a sad note in boxing, Vasily Lomachenko retires. He's like one of my favorite boxers. Watching him, his style, his footwork, how did things right. And I know he got caught up with the war in Ukraine, and I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it. But it's going to be sad to see him go because I think he's one of the top contenders and champions that I've seen over the years. And I really enjoyed watching him, but this had to be a hard decision for him, man, to walk away from something he loves so much.
No doubt. I agree with you 100%. The one thing about Lomachenko is a little different than the the major or the average guy that's coming up as a boxer, Lomachenko had an impressive, amazing amateur record. In fact, you thought half of his career was spent as an amateur. Then he decided to go pro. So he didn't have a lot of pro fights,
Right.
but he took on fights where he still was amazing. He won titles. He had a lot more amateur fights than he did pro, but he was able to dominate at times. And even when he got older, he still held his own. Great guy, as you said, represented his country well, was dedicated to that stance as well. But I also would say that he's definitely a Hall of Famer, and we just wish him the best down the road. Great asset to the sport, and probably one of the most talented we've ever seen.
All right. I'm gonna say this, and this is my own personal opinion. We're gonna go to the UFC and MMA. I wasn't interested in watching the fights last night because every time they roll out head Cheeto out there, it just turns me away from UFC. So I decided just to watch boxing instead and some other sports. But congratulations to Harrison. She wins the championship belt. But the great news about that is our girl, the Lioness, is coming back. And I'm here for it. And I watched some of the highlights of her in the ring and Harrison. This is a match made in heaven for me because I think Harrison is one of the toughest MMA fighters out there. And I wouldn't want to see the Lioness fight anybody else but her to see who is the toughest in that weight class. But one of the things that I thought about was, does the Lioness need a fight before this, or has she been training all along, or is she ready? Is there any rust? Is it just made me think about it because I think she's 37 years old. She has some time to spend with the family, spend with the new child. But is she up for this? I mean, because it's hard to kind of turn it off and then turn it on. And so, is it because hey, I miss it, or has she been training all along and just kind of hiding in the weeds to this perfect opportunity?
I'm glad you asked me that question.
I try.
As you know, the Lioness Nunez is probably my favorite female UFC fighter of all time. Maybe even boxing too.
Yeah.
She just brings it. She has no fear, does not turn away from anybody. To answer your question, I think that she may have been training all along. Not thinking she was good. I think she literally was committed to being retired because she wanted to be home for her and her wife and the baby and the family and everything. But she said, now these kids getting big, they don't need me as much anymore. So she's always a fighter. That's who she is. And that's what makes you really want to watch her even more. So now, and I think I told you before, and I think the same can be said when you look at a guy like Israel and UFC as well. You gotta have something that drives you, make you want to come back. Linus has some time out. She watching these young ladies when these ladies fight, and she go, I think I can get her. I think I. So, and I think when you have that drive, when you've been away, she's inspired, ready to go, and she didn't really want to come in the ring at first. But Harrison told her, "Come on up here, come on up here." And she goes, "You all right?" And the first thing they did was do a little face off. She's like, "I'm gonna knock this." But I have to say, what made me want to watch this fight between Juliana Pena and Harrison because they had talked so much stuff and what I'm gonna do to you, and the way that Harrison was able to submit her, almost breaking her arm, was amazing because you see how quickly Pena typed. So I like Harrison. I really do. I like the way she's had a very rough upbringing, going through some traumas as a young woman. And then, of course, she fall right back and make me like her even more. She's from Middletown, Ohio. Did not know that. Middletown, we love the OH-10 over here. So Middletown, Ohio. But with that being said, she is the champion and she has the belt. But as she so eloquently said, it's the belt versus legacy. The greatest of all time, the GOAT is the Lioness, Amanda Nunes. And I'm here for the fight. I want to see it because many are called, but few are chosen. And even though Pena was able to submit the Lioness at one time, the Lioness came back and got her. So I'm really excited about this fight. I'm gonna see how it plays out. The Lions don't play. So I hope Nunez will show Harrison what time it is because I still cannot get over some of the things that we've seen from the Lions. And she's back. That's all I know. She's back. I'm happy. I'm excited. She is a force. I hope she still has it. I think she does. But great fight. And I'll say this, despite some people, I think this was a gift that was given to Dana White in the UFC. I know they might have thought Kayla Harrison would want to fight and come up and win if she did, but it was a gift because when she called her out and said, I think this should be the next fight. So y'all should be praising both of these women, bowing down to them because they gave you a gift that everybody that are UFC fans and contact sports fans are going to want to see.
Yeah, and of course, Sean O'Malley falls again to the champion. I didn't think this should have been a pay-per-view fight because it didn't attract a lot of, to me, a lot of fanfare that you had to see this fight. I always look at pay-per-view fights like these are fights that you have to see. You have to see. And even though I have a lot of respect for Kayla Harrison and Pena, I didn't feel like it should have been a pay-per-view event. But I think that Dana White, after he kind of fell on his face with the boxing thing, you're absolutely right. This is a true gift to him because I think he lost a lot of money or potential money to get in boxing, trying to step into that arena. And this is something that is going to be welcome, and this is worth pay per view. Also, we talked a little bit offline that John Jones, whether he's going to fight, and the Lioness wants John Jones on that same card, which is definitely pay per view worthy. And so we'll see what happens with that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure if there are any dates set yet, but you may know that more than I do.
No, I don't know of any dates. I just know they said they wanted to fight next. You have to give Kayla Harrison a little time.
Yes.
So if it's not the fall, it might be early next year. And that fits in the schedule of John Jones. He only want to fight once every 5 years anyway. So anytime you work
Work
on
on
his
this diet. Yeah.
dad bod. So yeah, it will be no matter when it happens, I'll be excited to see it. And I'm glad she's back. I've been talking about it for so
Yeah.
long.
We miss her. We miss her.
Yeah, we miss her. She's amazing, and I know it's gonna be a great fight. And I'm no matter what, I'm a John Jones fan to the end, bro. That dude is special.
Yeah. And looking forward to seeing him fight again. And hopefully they can fight on the same card. You said it that she wants that because every time he fights on the card, she wins. He's Icewater. I'm Puma, and this is the Fight Game.